I don't even have a Lego here to put up. Dang. What is up, studs, and welcome to Ask MandR, episode 378. This series answers your questions. So if you have a question or topic about Lego Star Wars or Lego in general or whatever you'd like, leave it down in the comments section below for next week's episode. Obviously, this week we're in a bit of a different setting as I've got a wedding to attend in about an hour, but we are in beautiful Hot Springs, Arkansas. I can actually see a bricks and minifigs outside of my hotel window here. It's pretty crazy. It'll be a bit awkward because I'll be looking to the side sometimes, but we'll deal with it this week. First question from Vanderlei. He says, what are your thoughts on the new Star Trek USS Enterprise? Will you be picking one up? And to answer the first part here, probably not. I'm not a Star Trek fan. I've never watched Star Trek. The only real care about Star Trek that I have has been the eternal clash with Star Wars that it has, and the will they, won't they make a Lego set out of it type of thing with Lego Star Trek. So yeah, not super hot on picking one up, but of course that can change over the next few weeks, and it may. We have the next part of his question who says, how about all those figures they are throwing in for just $399.99, which it is a lot and it isn't a lot. It is very much a lot of figures for a set that doesn't play with figures. And it is incredibly ironic. You won't believe who designed the USS Enterprise.
I'm Hans-Burkhard Schlömer, designer on the Lego Star Wars team.
Yes. It's Hans Burkhard Schlömer, the same fellow who designed the, yes, beautiful UCS gunship, however, super controversial for everything that wasn't the actual UCS gunship. And so I believe this one has 9 minifigures in it, and inherently, because it is the only Lego Star Trek set, and they're not making a full-on Lego Star Trek theme, all of them are exclusive. And you just go back to the days of the UCS gunship 4 years ago and look at some of the things that this guy said, and he would say things like, well, with a set like this, it's not about the minifigs, in reference to the UCS gunship, which again, of course, with the fan vote, they specifically asked which minifigs, which does make it about the minifigs in some ways, and all Lego sets are about the minifigs. It's part of the fandom, it's part of the collecting, and I made this argument 4 years ago. I'll make the argument again today, of course. Another thing he said is that he believed figures shouldn't be super rare collector's items, only in expensive sets, and here we have a set more expensive than the UCS gunship at launch that was $350, and this one is $400, and this one has immediately 9 super rare collector item figures that are only in one set, you know, immediately just flipping that on its head. And so as a Star Wars fan looking at this set, I can't help but say, hey, why didn't the UCS gunship get 9 figures? You know, you got to look at something like that and be like, well, now they showed that they can do that, and they will do that for other themes. So the next time a Star Wars set comes up, let's use the UCS gunship as a great example. Why not include 9 minifigs with a set like that? Because you can just include a bunch of cool Jedi and a bunch of cool characters that you wouldn't get otherwise, and just throw them in there for a $400 set or a $350 set at the time. You know, why not? And so I think this is going to create some problems for Lego, and specifically Lego Star Wars fans going forward, kind of grappling with this. I've for a long time been very okay with 2 figures in a UCS set. I'm still very okay with that being the number in the gunship. From a like true consumers, like Lego fans point of view, if you ignore the UCS gunship and all of the drama there though, 9 figures in the set makes a lot of sense, and it should be the way it is. They should be including a ton of figures. Why not? Why wouldn't you? Like, why not give the fans more for their money? That makes a ton of sense, right? And specifically because this is a set that doesn't otherwise have a bunch of other sets in a sub-theme, you know, it makes even more sense to put figures, a bunch of figures in a set like this. But, you know, given the price point and the history with some of the things that have been said and the way that they like belittled fans over their care of minifigs and getting minifigs in UCS sets, this is literally a UCS Star Trek set. Don't get it wrong. Just because it's under the Icons theme doesn't mean it's not. It is effectively what it is. It's just wild. The next part of his question says, opinion on the GWP with it. Man, I didn't think I was going to talk about Star Trek for this long, but it is something that's been a long time coming. So the GWP is this little shuttle pod. I believe it does have an exclusive figure, and I am very in favor of having cool things and exclusive things as GWPs, and as far as I am aware, this isn't like the TIE Fighter situation where you kind of have a gaping hole on the set the whole time if you don't have it. It does seem to be attachable to the set, which you could argue, but it's not in the same way that the TIE Fighter like literally felt like it belonged there and they took it away. It's not like they took one of the engines off of the USS Enterprise and then they're selling it back to you or putting it behind the like 3-day GWP wall. You leaving? All right, he's gonna be in and out, so just ignore him. It looks like a well-done GWP. I really like exclusive figures in GWPs, and I don't think it clashes with anything that I otherwise don't like, so I'm very in favor of it. It looks like a good build. So overall, I think most Star Trek fans, at least from what I've seen, are very happy with the set. It looks like a phenomenal build with a bunch of great figures. You're getting a very nice, complete feeling package for the most part. Again, outside of that shuttle pod, which I don't know enough about Star Trek to know if it like really should be there the whole time, like a TIE Fighter with the hanger rack or not. So if that's the case, obviously obviously my opinion would change. I just don't have that information. 3rd and goal. Oh, big one. Got the Patriots game on too. A lot going on. Touchdown! No way you didn't call it a touchdown. No, you're on crack. Pontiac Wolf says, just last night, November 5th, 2025, the AT-AT driver helmet at Target went up to $84.99. I have a receipt on my Target app showing that less than a month ago, it was $69.99. Now, $70 is the official retail price on that AT-AT driver helmet. It's $70 on Lego.com. It's been $70 at Target since release, but you are correct. The price did just the other day go up by $15 at Target. He says it's currently on sale for $50.99, but they show the regular price is the new $85 price, which should be illegal. Now, if $85 was the new retail price going forward for this set for Lego and Target, that would make sense and be a fair thing. Like Lego did increase a bunch of their retail prices a few years ago, and putting on discount after that, I don't think there's anything shady or wrong about that. Like sometimes retail prices just go up. But in this case, where the retail price is still $70 and they have artificially, very briefly, just put it up to $85 and now they're putting it on sale to make the discount look bigger, definitely very shady from Target, which is sad because I always thought higher of Target. I always thought they were a much better run business, than that. I thought they were above that, frankly, and they're just clearly not. I mean, for years, they've had really good sales and deals on Lego sets, and frankly, $50 for that set is still a pretty good deal. That's not unfair for the price. Just the way they're going about putting it on sale, where they try to make the discount look bigger, is very, very dirty, and you're seeing this happen with a bunch of Lego sets at Target. We discussed this a little bit last week, and it clearly is going to continue to happen as of now. And I'd say it's still even a different situation compared to like smaller third-party Lego stores selling stuff that's marked up. That's its own issue has many, many reasons that could be happening. But Target's so big, so powerful, so much money that they shouldn't need to mark up their sets to either turn a profit or make the sale look good enough to get people in the door, right? Like very different situation than other things. But yeah, really dirty work going on at Target. Again, that's a big buyer beware. Keep your eyes peeled if you're looking at anything on Target.com. I saw a lot of comments after last week saying this happens all the time, and frankly with Lego, it doesn't really happen all the time. It really doesn't. It doesn't really happen on Amazon, doesn't really happen on Walmart, it hasn't really historically been happening at Target, but Target is definitely dipping their toe into the game with Lego now. It is getting dirty out there. Kyle says, aside from helmets, what specialized mold or piece would you like to see added to the Star Wars catalog? And my answer is actually going to be a bit more broad than that, because I'm sure there's a lot they could do for Star Wars, like more specialized blasters, lightsaber hilts. I do kind of like the one-size-fits-all thing they've got going on now, with a few exceptions for some of the lightsaber hilts like Ventress and Dooku every once in a while, but generally I'm okay with what they got going on there. I think it would be a lot to expect different molds from every little lightsaber hilt and every blaster that's going on there, but also it would be very cool, don't get me wrong. What I actually would like to see though is a female body piece. It's usually when they do like a Slave Leia or a Sabine or whatever female character that is particularly skinny, they will print on a darker color to make it look like the waist is indented to make the character look skinnier. And I've seen third parties make custom molds of this and it looks really good. I think it would be a really cool addition to the minifigure and obviously would apply well outside of Star Wars. You wouldn't necessarily need to use it on every female character, I suppose, but in general, when they're using printing to show that design, why not just make it the design? Make the mold actually be missing the plastic. They'd save money on plastic, right? And on printing. So yeah, I think it would be a really nice piece to have for some specific Star Wars characters that are female. And I doubt they will ever do it, but it is the one that was top of mind when you ask. Mr. Astro says, we are living in a timeline where out of Marvel, Star Wars, and Ninjago, Star Wars is easily the worst. Yeah, that's probably true. Just looking at the field of January sets right now and the quality of some of the figures and things, it always goes back and forth. There'll be things that are bad for other themes that will go kind of under my radar because I'm not watching the day-to-day goings-on of Ninjago and Marvel. But still, Star Wars is in a pretty rough spot, it feels like. And I look at a set like the new 2026 Ninjago hut. I don't know what it's called, the house. It's from like the very first episode of Ninjago, apparently. There's a version from like 2011 that looks horrid. And this new version that they made, if you're not a Ninjago fan, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. You'll see the pictures on screen. It is like a perfect replica of the house. It is absolutely gorgeous. And I think they made the figures to match the show at the time, 1-to-1 basically. And they've got a lot of nice references in the set. And I think it's just a gorgeous, beautiful, well done, fairly priced set that clearly was a labor of love for the designers. And you just don't feel that way with Star Wars. I really don't know the last time I got a complete Star Wars set and felt like top to bottom, it was a true labor of love, that there wasn't some level of corporate like cheapening out or laziness from the designers in some way or another, or like minifig designs. You know what I'm talking about. There's no moments of like, this is Fives and he's great to get him in this set. 5s. There's no moment like that for Ninjago fans watching their designers talk about Ninjago, right? So very different there. Good for the Ninjago fans because that looks like a really cool set. Frankly, it's one that I'm fringely interested in picking up. I might buy and review that set just to kind of see what it's all about. I could never see myself really getting that deep into Ninjago, but like, you know, as a one-off review, maybe it's cool enough to buy. It looks like for their 15th anniversary they're gonna have 7 anniversary figures, and there's no confusion from the Ninjago side of things. They're not gonna lie about how many anniversary figures there are and then add one later. You know, in both cases, 20th anniversary and 25th anniversary of Star Wars, they both said there would be 5 and then 6 respectively, and then there ended up being 6 and 7. Didn't do that on purpose, but that was pretty good. So there's just a lot of little things that themes like Ninjago might be doing better than Star Wars. And that's where Star Wars needs someone that actually cares to like overlook things and be like, hey, you can't do that, you can't do that. You got to keep this messaging correct here. And yeah, I don't know. I just, yeah, definitely always draw a lot of comparisons to Star Wars when I look at other themes. So next up from SW Brick Films, he says, how do you think LEGO prices would differ if the price of sets currently in production were solely decided by market value? I think it would go so poorly. I think there would be a large subset of fans very upset when prices would go up, right? Because you would have sets that are very in demand. Like let's take, for example, the original 501st Battle Pack, just an impossible set to get. LEGO would have hiked the price of that one up to $60 or $70. Divide by 10, and you know, people would have been going crazy because it was impossible to buy, and they would be trying to cut down that demand a little bit by raising the price, or just make maximum money by raising the price. Kind of both things happen there with them. And then on the other side of things, as sets get cheaper, it kind of already works like that with clearance. So we already see the benefits of things getting cheaper with the lack of demand, but I don't think you want the downsides. Like people already get upset enough when they see someone selling anything on Facebook Marketplace for above what they think it's worth, and I just don't think people could handle that. So, and LEGO already kind of does this with the way they're pricing sets like the 327th Battle Pack, right? It feels like that. Anyway, next up from Ian, he says, what kind of Black Friday deals would you like to see this year? Hopefully some sort of sale on the Venator, some sort of sale on that Jabba's sail barge. I'm just thinking some of the bigger things that we really don't see sales on from LEGO, and those would be 2 big ones. You're certainly not going to see a sale on the Death Star, almost certainly not going to see a sale on the Jango Fett Slave 1 from earlier this year, but there's a lot of potential for some of the sets that have been out for a few years. Maybe the Razor Crest will be on sale again from LEGO. They've already had it on sale on Amazon, so good chance the Razor Crest would actually see a sale. We've seen it on sale in previous years for Black Friday, so I would just look out for some of those bigger sets. I don't want to spend too long on this because it'll be a few weeks until we really see what this is going to end up being, but I think Black Friday on LEGO is a big thing to keep an eye on because they got a lot of UCS sets out right now that are very expensive that, you know, maybe haven't been selling super well all year because they're just older, and maybe we'll get some good deals with those. Senny says, what is your favorite part about making your videos? Planning, recording, editing. I think the idea phase is my favorite part. Thinking about what could be if I was this perfect version of myself that did all of the work that I wanted to do and built the mocks that I wanted to finish and filmed all of the comparison videos that I wanted to film. That's my favorite part because I can see the vision of what I want everything to be and how perfect I want everything to be. And then, yeah, it's a little bit more difficult than just thinking about it, but definitely the thinking about it phase, the planning phase, you know, the recording and editing phase. This is fun, don't get me wrong. I do also very much enjoy this. This is right below that probably. Editing probably another bit below that. If, you know, kind of gets a little more difficult each way down, I'd say.
I think editing is great. I love it.
And with certain videos, it can be more fun to do editing than it can be to record because you can just like do a lot in the edit to make the video better, like adding in memes or just fun cuts that make it better. I don't know.
The Republic gunship is a set from the original trilogy.
There can be different scenarios where different ones are better, but on the whole, I very much enjoy the planning phase. I have a notebook, I always write down ideas and like video schedules, and I just enjoy that sort of thing, even though I don't always meet my personal expectations for what I want to like complete. South by Rebel says, if the smart figs fail super hard and the line is discontinued in short order, could that drive up the value of those figs in the long run? Thinking still no if there's no demand for them. And very much on the button at the end there, I was going to say basically exactly that. Like when sets are heavily on clearance because nobody was buying them, we'll use the Young Jedi Adventures set for an example. It's like $16 on clearance, a lot at Walmart. It's still not worth a whole lot. You know, it's still worth like $20 or $25. I'm hoping one day it'll be worth more because I bought a bunch of them, but like people don't want the set. And if they didn't want smart figs today, they're not going to want them tomorrow just because LEGO isn't selling them anymore, generally. Now, that doesn't mean they won't be worth something in the future. They couldn't be worth a ton of money, whatever. But generally, when something isn't loved when it's out, you know, it's probably not going to go up a ton in value. Captain Rex says, what do you think will be the next clone battalion that LEGO makes? And do you think we could see the ARF Trooper make a return? I think the next clone battalion is pretty clearly going to be the Wolfpack. It seems to be the most sensical one for them to make. It's the most fan demanded. It's kind of the easiest slam dunk for them with like a Wolfpack gunship or perhaps even something like a Republic frigate again, like they did in 2011. Now, this isn't what I personally want to see because of the lack of quality with Phase 2 clone troopers and their helmets and their design details. Like, it's just going to be a garbage figure. I think the ARF trooper would be fantastic, though. I really hope that that ends up being the case because I think they could do a great job with something like that in the modern day. The ARF trooper, maybe the Bomb Squad trooper, the ETH Koth trooper, all those Phase 1 troops that were so great back in 2011 could be great again here in 2025, or 2026, 27, whatever. But in any case, I expect it to be the Wolfpack troopers that we would see next. If it's not the Wolfpack troopers, it'd probably be Kashyyyk. I'm frankly surprised we didn't see Kashyyyk this year, given it's the anniversary of Revenge of the Sith, but yeah, Wolfpack, then Kashyyyk, then ARF. The Brown Eyes of Mandalore says, do you think the Gingerbread AT-AT will retire after this year, or will they keep it around for future holiday seasons? It is certainly going to be out for multiple years. It was originally supposed to retire at the end of 2026, so that's over a year from now, and it has recently been bumped to the end of 2027. So you're looking at about a 2.25 year shelf life minimum for the Gingerbread AT-AT at this point. I know it's very difficult to buy right now, hard to find in stores. Obviously, it's a LEGO store exclusive, so you're not going to find it at Target and Walmart anyway, although I feel like it's the type of set they should sell at stores like that. It would sell like hotcakes there too, to like the super casual LEGO fans that walk by and see, ooh, cool, an AT-AT, I'll buy that. But it was never planned to retire at the end of this year. It was always planned to retire, at least from the rumors that we've seen, at the end of 2026, and it has been since pushed to the end of 2027. So you will have ample opportunity to buy that Gingerbread AT-AT. Don't worry, don't buy it unless you really want to have it now for more than retail price. There'd be no reason to do that, again, unless you're like in a position like mine where you want to make a YouTube video on it, or if you just for whatever reason really want to have it before Christmas and waiting just isn't an option for you, I guess, which is a bit silly. It's a want, not a need. But yeah, that one should be out for another 2 years at least from right now, which is crazy to think about. Okay, it says, if you had to rebrand your entire channel around another theme that's not Star Wars, what theme would it be? Well, I think it's a good time to hop on that Star Trek bandwagon. No, I'm kidding. I would do City. I would definitely do Lego City. I think I've seen a lot of YouTubers do Lego City and it just looks, oh, he's back again. It looks, hey, Patriots got no touchdown. I don't know what happened though. It looks very fun to do a Lego City, just building all of the little different elements of the city and adding in all of the people, like trains I really like, and that would be part of Lego City anyway to me. You can build mountains, beaches, forests, like there's so much you can do, and then you can wipe it away and start again on a new city and build different things. And I think if I was ever going to do anything else, it would be Lego City specifically, like if I was just getting rid of Star Wars, but very much a hypothetical, probably not going to happen. But yeah, Lego City. Cam's thoughts on Lego City?
I think it was good when I was younger, but
You still are younger.
no, not
Now you're old.
for the younger kids.
All right. Next from Legendary, he says, I clean Lego by submerging it in my bathtub. Is that a good way to clean my Lego, or would it damage it? The only thing I'd be worried about is stickers, and at that, they're probably okay anyway. I've done that in the past by running it under a faucet. Mostly I do that because I think the water hitting it like at speed gets the dust off a little bit better than just putting it in water. But either way, you'll be getting a lot of dust off without doing a ton of work, and that's a great way to do it. Then you just have to wait for it to dry. And another issue can happen though where you'll get water spots when it dries, and you got to kind of wipe them off with a towel anyways. The only concern I would have with that is the stickers. So just keep an eye on that. Maybe take those pieces off, honestly, and then submerge it and it would be fine. But yeah, either way, water's usually fine. Next from The Real Morgan, he says, have your opinions about the MTT or Turbo Tank changed now that it's been out for a while? Unfortunately, the minifigs are still just as bad as they were. The build is still just as small as it is. The price is still just as bad as it is. The stickers are still just as discolored as they were. And no. Yeah, my disappointment is still immeasurable and my day is still ruined, and I feel like I am wearing the appropriate attire to be able to say something like that. I'm Little Spoke says, I've recently purchased all 2013 LEGO Star Wars sets to complete the minifigure poster with my dad, except I can't find a Jedi Defender class cruiser anywhere for a reasonable price. Do you have any suggestions, and is that TikTok account of you fake? I can't tell. My TikTok account is MandR Productions. That's the username. That one's mine. Any other one that says MandR Productions isn't me. There are some that do that, but yeah. The one that's mine is literally the one that is MandR Productions. Now, when it comes to finding old Lego sets for cheap, in some cases, you are just SOL. There is nothing you can do to get a set for less than market value. That's why it's the market value. Occasionally, you'll find something for a little bit less, but yeah, I don't know what a reasonable price is to you, to be fair, but whatever the market price is, generally is the market price for a reason. You can sometimes get good deals because something is really dirty or damaged in some way or another, and maybe that's a route you'd want to take if something like that does happen to pop up on one of the marketplaces that you're looking on. You know, I would make sure you broaden your horizons and look everywhere, you know, Facebook Marketplace, eBay, whatnot. Just broadening your horizons and just realizing that success in this case is no guarantee. It's a numbers game. You can try every day, look every day, but if someone else is there an hour before you and buys the one that's a good deal, it's gone. That's it. You know, it's just how it works. So I would almost just suggest saving up for it, knowing whatever the market price is, what the fair price to pay is, and paying that, because otherwise there's cases where you could look for years trying to find a good deal, not find what you consider to be a good deal, and in the meantime, the price of the set has continued to appreciate to where if you just bought it before, let's say it's worth $500 right now, I don't know what it's worth, it's sealed, but $500 right now, but you wait 3 years trying to get it for $400, and now it's worth $700. Good luck getting it for $400. It ain't happening. Now that $500 looks real good. So just take into account things like that too. And if it's the last set you need for this collection, I would not try to wait that long on it or be that stingy with it. You know, again, it all depends on your money situation, I suppose. King S says, do you think they'll release sets like the Captain Rex's Micro Fighter with the new rangefinder and pauldron piece? I've put the spare rangefinder on my 5s and Rex, and the simple answer to this is unfortunately no. While LEGO does say only the best is good enough, they certainly don't mean it. And you can look at a case like the Mandalorian Starfighter from 2022 as the shining example here. The helmet on the Mando figure in that set, in the prior sets, was atrocious. They had a really bad Mandalorian helmet for a long time, and it was a shame. I believe they fixed that starting with the UCS Razor Crest's Mando, and any future Mando has had that updated, better print, you know, where it's got the actual black on top and the visor is shifted back up to look a lot better than it did before. And they never went back, despite the fact that they've been continuing to sell the set for the 3 years after they fixed it. They haven't gone back in and fixed it in the set that they've been selling. They've just continued to sell the complete crap version. Why this is the case, I don't quite understand. It would be pretty easy to make a running change. They have made running changes in plenty of sets before for different various reasons, but for whatever reason, it never seems to be a common sense like, hey, we updated this piece and it's just better now, so let's just give it to everybody that buys this set now. You know, for all the times that they falsely advertise things being better than they are, why aren't we seeing cases where they're falsely advertising things being worse than they are? Like Captain Rex's Microfighter, including the worse, older rangefinder and pauldron, and then when you actually get it, you get the newer, better versions of both, you know, even though the box art maybe isn't updated, although they certainly have the capacity to do that too and should be doing that, I'm just saying. So it won't happen. It should happen, but it won't happen, at least until something somewhere changes at LEGO, but like, I've watched this company for too long to have that kind of hope. Daraga says, in your opinion, what is the best LEGO Icon set of 2025 and do you own any? Top of mind, I like the Black Pearl. I think the USS Enterprise probably has a bit of a case to be made for being the best one of the year as well. And I really can't think of many more. Unfortunately, the hotel internet isn't working, so I can't look them up. So I actually will defer your question to maybe its own YouTube video of like a top 10. I think that could be fun. So that's what you're gonna get out of this because I literally can't figure it out. And that's gonna be the end of this episode. Thank you very much for watching Ask Coming up to 378. If you have a question or topic for next episode, drop it down in the comments section below. And I've got a wedding to catch. I'm supposed to leave here in 10 minutes, so good timing. Thank you guys so much, and see you later.